Oh, hello everybody, and welcome to a Throne of Eldraine sealed video here on the channel. Before I begin, I want to give a huge shout out to Wizards of the Coast. Thank you so much for giving me a free preview account that is fully stocked and letting me play in this event. I really appreciate it. If you want to help me out and you're watching this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If this video gets to 50 thumbs up, I will post another Throne of Eldraine video tomorrow. So to support the channel and get more content at the same time, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content and to join our community here on the web. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I am going to be going very in-depth on this because this is my first video about Throne of Eldraine and probably the first video you're watching on Throne of Eldraine. So I'm going to be talking about all the cards if I can, and also just how to approach sealed in general. So hopefully this will get you ready for your own pre-releases. Let's look at our rares. We have Dance of the Manse. This is a pretty sweet rare. I don't think it's super good, but it's definitely a sweet one. The problem with Dance of the Manse is that generally it's really hard to just get enough artifacts and enchantments in your graveyard, so I don't think it's super playable. Piper of the Swarm is definitely a great one, though. Very powerful card. Just being able to make a rat every turn for only 2 mana means that in the late game you're going to slowly take over, and if your opponent can't kill it, sacrificing it is going to do a lot of work, so definitely a great card. Linden is only really playable in a mono white deck, and we're probably not going to be doing that in sealed, so this isn't super great for me, though in draft I think you can probably get monocolored decks some of the portion of the time, and then she's a pretty good card. Folio of Fancies I don't think is very good either. Basically, it is too slow. Like, you're basically letting your opponent draw a bunch of cards, and you're not going to be able to mill them out fast enough for it to be good. Garruk, Cursed Huntsman, on the other hand, is unbelievable. This card is absolutely fantastic, and we're going to be doing our utmost to play it. With Piper of the Swarm, we're probably going to try and play black, green, or black, something splash green, but Garruk is definitely fantastic. And then Giant Killer is also a fantastic card, so definitely another card I want to try and get into my deck. But let's see what we are working with here. I'm going to turn the sound down a little bit, and then we're going to zoom out. Okay, so when I build a sealed pool, first of all, in sealed, what you need to realize is that, I guess I'll zoom in so you can read the cards easier. What you need to realize is that in sealed, the cards are going to be, a lot of the time, have to be applicable in the late game. So you're not going to be trying to play your super aggressive decks unless you actually get lucky and open at least 6 2-drops, I'd say, because otherwise you don't have the consistency needed to get a 2-drop on turn 2, which is really what you need to play an aggressive deck. Instead, in more sealed formats, you want to make sure all of your 2-drops are relevant in the late game, so you'll oftentimes only run like 3 2-drops. So a great example of that is the Piper of the Swarm that we had, because if you draw it on turn 2, sure, you'll play it, but later in the game it's still relevant, still has a big impact. So you want to only play your premium early drops, things like Giant Killer, things like Piper of the Swarm. Youthful Knight is the type of card, for example, that goes way down in sealed, because in sealed, unless you get lucky, you're not going to consistently be able to curve out, unless you get like 6 2-drops and some other curve consideration cards that you'll need. That's just a basic thing for sealed. We're going to be going through the cards here one by one here. Idyllic Grange, definitely a good card if you're playing a heavy white deck, but definitely not a strong pull to white unless I am already going to be in a white deck. Deafening Silence, not playable. You're just not going to get any effect from that. Hey, welcome, Cornball. Fairy Guidemother, I think, is good in draft, but it does go down in sealed for the exact reason I just described. It's just one of those cards that needs to be an aggressive deck. So unless you have a very aggressive sealed pool, which is possible in a lot of formats, but it's more rare. So you'll be like an aggressive deck like 25% of the time compared to like 50% of the time in sealed versus draft. But Fairy Guidemother, definitely a card that I think is quite good, and I think it's going to be underrated because 1-mana 1/1 flyers are generally not viewed super highly. But on turn 1, those cards definitely do some work, and the problem is they fall off in the late game. But in the late game, it essentially has like a lava axe attached to it in many cases because your opponent's going to not be able to block the creature. It's going to hit him for like 5. So I think this card's good in draft, but not so good in sealed probably. Giant Killer's quite good. There's a lot of big creatures, especially in sealed, so I think this card's quite good, and it's definitely a reason to be in white. I'll add it to my pool of cards that I want to be playing. Yeah, I think I'll do it this way. Shepherd of the Flock is one of those 2-drops that also has some utility in the late game because of the bounce your own permanent ability, especially because there is Trapped in a Tower and also a Claustrophobia effect. It's called like something enchanted. In blue, it's 1 blue, tap the creature, it doesn't untap. So Shepherd of the Flock can definitely like get rid of your opponent's removal. You can also cast it in response to removal, so I think Shepherd of the Flock does qualify for the 2-drop that's relevant late. Silver Flame Squire is a little bit less so of that, because while it is relevant like at all stages because it is an adventure, it's not like ideal at all stages. It's like kind of like mediocre unless you're kind of beating down because the combat trick's not super great. So I think I'm going to start with it on the bench right now, but then maybe move it in if I do end up with a super aggressive deck. We already talked about Youthful Knight a little bit. It also fails in the little test of not being super good late in the game, which is kind of something you need to be able to, you kind of want in your 2-drops. Linden, we're not going to start out with. Bartered Cow, I think, is a little bit of a trap because you can't essentially with food tokens, a lot of the time, the best way to use them is as something more than just food. So in blue-white, there is a artifacts and enchantments theme. So if you're using the food with cards that care about artifacts, then it's a pretty nice effect. If you're using it with cards that in black and green, food tokens can be sacrificed for other effects a lot of the time. But if you're just playing this in like a red-white deck, Bartered Cow is just not going to cut it because you don't really want an artifact that just doesn't really do much for you. Bartered Cow, I think, is best left on the sidelines unless you have a specific use for the food token. I think it's really funny that it's a cow, and then the food token is kind of a cow. It's like a pig, but yeah. Lonesome Unicorn, I think, is a sleeper card a little bit. It's definitely like more powerful than it looks. You might think, well, a 3-mana 2/2 is undercosted, and a 5-mana 3/3 is undercosted, like both with Vigilance. But the thing is having them both stapled together is actually quite nice, and I think being a knight is going to be relevant. So I think this does kind of meet the bar for the type of card that I would like to play. However, that is my last white card. I didn't even realize because of this way the view is set up. So because of this, we don't really have a reason to play white. Sure, Giant Killer is nice, but we're just going to get rid of all those cards. We're not going to be playing white in this pool. Let's go on to blue. Mantle of Tides is an interesting one. I think you definitely need to have some ways to draw cards at instant speed for this to be good. You need some copies of Opt. There's a red card that is essentially Tormenting Voice, so you at instant speed, so you discard a card, draw 2 at instant speed. But Mantle of Tides is definitely a card that I think can be playable in the right shell, but it's not one I'm going to start in my deck. It's one that I'm going to, when I go back through all my cards at the end, I'll add it back in if I see that I have some card draw. Fairy Vandal is quite good. 2-mana 1/2 flash flying that grows very easily. Like, it's not super hard to enable this to grow, and Fairy Vandal definitely a card that I'm very happy to be playing, so I'm cool to have 2 copies of that. Folio Fancies, we already talked about how it's not a great card. Wishful Merfolk is okay if your deck has like a very solid late game plan. Like if you're like know that you're going to win the late game because you have some absurd bomb, you can play this. But again, it's kind of like Mantle of Tides. I'm not going to put this in unless I have some reason for it. Charmed Sleep was the card I was talking about earlier with the self bounce. This is definitely a card you're going to be playing in your blue decks, even though there are some ways to punish it. It's just it's like a solid removal spell. Queen of Ice is a card that is similar to the aggressive cards in that I think it's going to be better than people think it is. The effect is kind of like Frost Links in some cases and kind of like other things in other cases. 3-mana 2/3 that has a pretty relevant upside is going to be a good card, I think. The thing that makes this card good is if your opponent can't really profitably block it with anything that can't trade with it. So if your opponent has a 2/4, normally that would shut down all of their 2/3s. But if you attack them with Queen of Ice, then their 2/4 gets tapped down in the future and they can't block your other creatures, and it just becomes a nightmare to block. Also, later on, the Rage of Winter can tap down a blocker and allow your tempo decks to get through. So I think this card is okay and probably one that I will be playing, especially in sealed format here. Mystery Forward Turtle I don't love because it can't give itself unblockable. So essentially, because it only has 1 power, your opponent can just gang block it. Like they can just put 3 creatures in front of Mist Forward Turtle. So I don't think this card's very good. Steel Gaze Griffin is a card that I think is a little bit worse just because of the fact that blue decks don't necessarily want to be beating down in this format because of this card, which I'll get to in a moment. But Unexplained Vision, I think, is going to be a key part, and also Witching Well of blue decks, and I think that's part of the reason Steel Gaze Griffin is not as good in this type of format, because a 5-mana 2/4 that is sometimes a 4/4 flyer is going to be a pretty decent common. Like, it's obviously a huge step below Air Elemental, which is just a 5-mana 4/4, but it's relatively easy to enable, and on offense a lot of the time it's going to be a 4/4. The problem is that the blue decks have a lot of card draw, and card draw makes you want to go longer because then you can leverage your extra resources, and Steel Gaze Griffin really doesn't fit that plan because on defense it's a 5-mana 2/4, which just is 1 more mana than you want to pay for that. It's not an excellent blocker, so I don't think it's great, though it is probably still playable in sealed just because of how good flying is in sealed. Sir Eleanor the Discerning, definitely a card you're always going to play. Even if it's just a 5-mana 3/4 draw card, that's just a good value creature, and sometimes it's even bigger than that. Definitely a card I would play if I was blue. And then Unexplained Vision, 5-mana draw 3 with upside. One important thing to note about Adamant, it's not as easy to enable as you think. So you have to kind of evaluate the cards in a vacuum. Would I pay 5 mana to draw 3 cards? And I think you would, because that's just a very, very powerful effect at common. And the thing about Unexplained Vision is because it's a common, it makes other card draw effects less, like, you don't have to prioritize them as much. So, like, you don't have to take Witching Well super early because you can get Unexplained Vision, which does similar things. I think Witching Well is better in certain decks that care about artifacts, but generally a very comparable card when it comes to card draw. But you have to be aware that you can't just always be like, oh, I'm going to draw 3 scry 3. You have to be a pretty focused deck. Oh, that's awesome. J No Feats, welcome to the stream. But yeah, Unexplained Vision, definitely a card you're going to be playing in Sealed every time. Thank you. I'm pretty proud of the new overlay myself. Witch's Cottage. Okay, so looking at our blue cards here, we have like a couple of decent blue cards, but not really a reason to be blue. In Sealed, you kind of want a reason to be blue. Like, we're going to get to our black cards, and we have like this Piper of the Swarm, which is hopefully a reason to be blue. But the blue cards, like, we have this Unexplained Vision, which is great in Sealed because it's slower, so you're going to be able to leverage the cards better. We have a couple of Fairy Vandals, a removal spell, Sir Eleanor. So there's some decent blue cards, but there's only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blue cards that I'd be really happy to play, which isn't really enough for a deck, so I'm hoping to get some more stuff out of black. Moving on to Witch's Cottage, I think this card is quite powerful. You do have to control several other swamps for this to work, but in reality, you're not really going to be getting a creature back until later on anyway, because you don't really want to get back your 2-drops. You want to be getting back your bombs. So Witch's Cottage in a deck that has like 9 other swamps is going to be a very powerful card, and you can even just play it as a tap land early on in the game if you may need to make a land drop. So this type of card is very good, and definitely a card you're going to play in your heavy black decks. Eye Collector, I don't think is very good. Unlike Fairy Guidemother, which is going to be relevant early and late, Eye Collector is just very bad as a top deck, which is something you can almost always, you're not always going to have your Eye Collector in your opening hand to like deal 5 damage to your opponent. Some games you're going to top deck it on turn 5, and you're going to play a 1-drop, and then your opponent's going to play a 5-drop, and you're going to just be completely screwed. I think it might have a home if decks that mill your opponent become a thing. Like, there might be certain decks where you have enough mill your opponent payoffs that it becomes worth it, but I'm going to start off with Eye Collector being a card I very, very, very rarely want to play in Sealed or in Draft. Lash of Thorns is another card that I don't really ever want to be playing, particularly because of the way it just stats line up. So giving a creature +2/+1 doesn't really help you in combat a lot, because you're going to get wrecked by in combat a lot of time anyway, because if they attack with a 3/3 and you have Lash of Thorns, then and you want to block with like your 2/2, you can't like trade up with your creature. You can't like trade the combat trick. You end up like trading down, like you 2-for-1 yourself. And if you attack your opponent and you attack your 3/3 into their 4/4, you also don't like trade up. So Lash of Thorns is one of those cards that isn't really good in a lot of combat situations. Where it really shines is against double blocks, but you can't always really count on that. So be aware, if you are planning on double blocking, that Lash of Thorns could be a thing. Welcome, Connor, to the stream. Lonely Light hype. But yeah, Lash of Thorns is a card I think is pretty terrible, just because it doesn't do really what you want out of a combat trick. If it was like +1/+3 or like +0/+3, it would be much better, I think. Malevolent Noble, I think, is one of those 2-drops that has enough relevance later in the game to be good, especially with with food tokens. I think this card can do decent work, and the fact that you don't have to tap it to sacrifice things, I think this card's a relatively solid 2-drop. Piper of the Storm, we already talked about, definitely a pretty solid 2-drop as well. Very happy to get it. Definitely above solid, a very strong card. Reeve Soul, quality removal spell. Even though this is sealed, so killing creatures, like, you want to be killing their expensive bombs a lot of the time, it still does kill stuff like Steel Gaze Griffin. It just kills like their small utility creatures like Piper, so you're definitely always going to play your Reeve Souls. Smitten Swordmaster is more of a synergy card. You're not really going to play it unless you care about knights. If you are an aggressive deck, like say I had slightly more white cards that were good, and I had like, I have 1 2-drop, I have this guy, so this is 2 1-drops, I have a 2-drop, 3 2-drops, 4 2-drops, and then I'm like, I have 6 2-drops, I could just play a super aggressive deck. Sometimes you can, and I actually would 8 2-drops because of these guys. If you just have enough 2-drops, sometimes you can just kind of go all in, but I don't think Smitten Swordmaster is really going to be playable in Sealed outside of that. Bake Into a Pie I have currently as the best black common. It's just super efficient removal, 4 mana, destroy a creature, create a food token, very powerful. The food token can oftentimes be used for other things. Hello, Ghost of Crows, welcome to the stream. But the Baked Into a Pie can oftentimes just do be a removal spell and then a little bit of extra value added on. And instant speed removal is always pretty premium. I like how the food token matches up with the Bake Into a Pie art. That's kind of nice. So we're definitely going to be playing that. Locthwain Paladin. It's okay as a 4-mana 3/2 menace, but obviously not great. Ideally, you want to have 10 swamps before you want to play this, and even then, it's not going to come down as a 4-mana 3/2 all that often. It's like half the time with 10 swamps or something like that, somewhere in the 40%, high 40%, I think. But definitely a card to that you can sometimes play, but I would not really want to start in the main, so I'm not going to add it in right now. And then there's Bognaughty, which is one of those uses for food. I think this card is quite nice. Just the ability to use your food for things that aren't just the ability to use your food for things that aren't just gaining life is super powerful, and killing creatures is definitely a fantastic use for food. So going to add Bognoni. Let's look at our black cards now. We have a Bognoni, a Bacon to a Pie, Reef Soul, so 2 removal spells and a pretty nice little payoff for food, and then a Piper this one, which is a very powerful card, and then Malevolent Noble. So we don't have all that many black cards. We have 3, 4, 5. We have 5 black cards that we're happy to play, and then we could probably get this Locthwain Paladin. We'll probably just add that. Keep in mind that we do have that Garruk, so we really do want to be playing black in some capacity, but we'll get to green in a second, and yeah, I'm just going to keep going through with my cards. Actually, let's just look at green now. Yeah, no, I'm just going to keep going through. I want to cover all the cards anyway, and yeah, we'll save the suspense. But we do remember that we have a Garruk, so that's why black is in consideration, and also Piper is one of our better cards. Bloodhaze Wolverine, I think, is quite good. The Threat of Activation, which, if you don't know what Threat of Activation is, essentially it means that if you are going into combat and you have a card like Bloodhaze Wolverine and you attack with it, and it's just a 2/1, your opponent can't really block it with their 2/3 creature or their 3/3 creature, because if you have a way to draw a card, your opponent is just in so much trouble, because then you play your opt, drew a card, and also killed their 3/3, which is just so much value. So the thing with Bloodhaze Wolverine is, I think a lot of the time, if you're a blue-red deck specifically, where you're going to have access to opt, access to the 2-mana Tormenting Force at instant speed, access to other card draw effects, you're going to want to attack with this into cards that would normally kill it. I think this card is fantastic. I think it's one of the better red commons, especially in draft. In sealed, it gets a little bit worse, because in the late game, a 2/1 is like not as relevant. So I still think I would probably start it, but I wouldn't be happy to play it unless I was blue-red. And if I'm not in blue-red, then I think I wouldn't really be looking to play this all that much, unless I had like several ways to draw cards in red. But it's at its best in blue-red specifically. So yeah, let's just add it for now, because we do have a lot of blue cards in here. Rimrock Knight, I think, is a card that you don't really want to be playing in your non-aggressive decks. It doesn't have a ton of utility in the late game as a top deck. Sure, it has the kind of combat trick mode built in, Boulder Rush, but that's not really a combat trick, because it's not going to... I mean, it is a combat trick, but it's not going to buff your toughness, so the creatures are just going to trade anyway. But I do think this card is fantastic for aggro, and it's going to be a great card in draft, like one of the top commons in red. But I don't think we really want it here. 7 Dwarves is going to be good if you can get like 3 of them. And it's not like super bad if you don't get 3 of them, so I think this is going to be a pretty solid playable in red. Thrill of Possibility is the card that I was talking about all this time. It's the draw 2 payoff, and definitely a card that we would want to play with our Bloodhaze Wolverine. So we'll just add those. Also, this type of effect is nice in sealed, because if the game goes late, you can just discard lands that you wouldn't need. Raging Redcap is only really good if you have some equipments, because buffing this up, like giving it +2/+2 or something, the double strike really makes that really powerful, but we're not going to be starting that in the absence of that type of effect. Slaying Fire is just a fantastic removal spell. Deal 3 damage to any target is really nice, and dealing 4 if you in the late game when you have a lot of red mana is definitely good as well. So pretty happy to get that. Embereth Paladin is the red. There's a cycle of cards like Locthwain Paladin. There is a red one that is a 4/1 haste base. There is a white one that is a 2/5 just normal base, I think. I don't think it has vigilance or anything. There is a blue one that is a 2/2 flyer that can get a counter. They all get a counter if you have adamant, so they're all pretty interesting build arounds, but we're probably not going to be going for this type of card anyway, because a 4/1 haste is just not where you want to be in limited, and later on in the game we're not really going to want that effect anyway. Mad Ratter could be a really good payoff, especially with 2 Thrill of Possibility, so we're going to add that in for now and then maybe see where we can go. It also works with our Unexplained Vision. Our Sir Eleonora can get it working on our turn. We have a decent number of card draw payoffs, so like Fairy Vandal into Thrill of Possibilities like on their turn could be really nice. So we'll have to keep that in mind, but we'll put the Mad Ratter in for now. Skull Knocker Ogre. I skipped Ogre Errant. Ogre Errant is okay if you have some knights, but if you don't have enough knights, which none of our cards really do, we don't have the white or the black cards to support this card, so we're not going to be playing this card, though it is a solid card in a Knights deck. Skullknocker Ogre is interesting because it looks like an upside, like make your opponent discard their cards, but your opponent can actually turn it into an upside by like holding their extra lands. So like in the late game, you don't really want to attack them if they have like one card in hand that they haven't been playing for a while, because that's probably just a land, and then you're giving them a free rummage. Mad Ratter, and oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that combo. Thanks for pointing that out, Ebon Bro. Oh my gosh. Holy smokes. That's hilarious. Because you can sacrifice 3 rats to gain control of stuff, and Mad Ratter makes rats. That's awesome. Maybe maybe a pull into red-black. But yeah, Skullknocker Ogre, not really a card I'm hyped to play. So looking at red, we have Mad Ratter, which is great. 2 Thriller possibilities, which is good synergy with the Ratter. And then Slaying Fire. But overall, our red cards are not super good. So I find it hard to believe that we're going to end up in red. So we're just going to cut these cards for now. But we'll remember them for later. Okay, moving on to green, we have 2 copies of Gingerbread Cabin, which is the green equivalent of the Witch's Cottage. And this card is quite nice because making a food, as you can probably already tell, is actually sometimes worth a card. Like Bognaughty can sacrifice the food for a ton of value, killing their creatures. Yeah, the red pool is shallow, Ghost of Crows. But yeah, making foods is really nice, and it's just fine upside attached to a card that's just going to be taking a land slot. So definitely a card that I'll be playing in my green decks. Flaxen Intruder is one that I don't think I'll be playing. It's an adventure creature that, like, 7 mana to make 3 2/2s is just too expensive, I think. And then the 1/2 at that point in the game is just so irrelevant. And I just don't think Flaxen Intruder is a very good card, and I don't think I'd be very excited to play it. Curious Pair is interesting if I get some food synergies, because it makes a food token on turn 1, and then on turn 2 it can come down and block. And I think this is the type of card that I would play if I had some stuff like Bognaughty, and it looks like I have a Trail of Crumbs, which I am going to it will probably make me play Curious Pair. So I'll put the Curious Pair in for now, but I don't think it's a card you just want in any deck. I think you kind of want to have a use for the food other than gaining life, but it's just going to be a solid card in most decks. Fell the Pheasant, I don't think is main deckable. There's not a ton of flyers in the set. There's like a little bit less than normal, but it is a great sideboard card and one that I'll be happy to sideboard in. Garenbrig Squire, this is more of a green, this is more of a card that you're only going to want to play if you have like 5 adventures, because otherwise it's just a 2 mana 2/2. But even with 4 or 5 adventures, getting it up to a 3/3 a couple times is going to be pretty good. But I don't think our deck is really going that direction. Sure, we have Curious Pair. I guess we have a couple of blue ones, but I don't think we're going to be playing blue necessarily. But yeah, I think Garenbrig Squire is okay. But again, it gets much worse in sealed because you want your 2-drops to be relevant. Like Curious Pair in the late game is still going to make me a food token, which might feed my Bognaughty or something like that. Whereas Garenbrig Squire is just going to be like a 2 mana 2/2 a lot of the time. Merrileaf Rider, I do think is a very good card. I think it's going to be underrated, and I think it's good even in sealed. And the reason why is because it doesn't say you can only do this once. If you could only sacrifice 1 food a turn to do this, it would be significantly worse. But the thing is in the late game, say the game has stalled out, and I have 4 foods sitting on the table that I haven't been using because I've been saving them for my Merrileaf Rider. I then play Merrileaf Rider. The next turn, I sacrifice 4 foods. All of my opponent's creatures now, I've targeted each of them. They all have to block my Merrileaf Rider, which means all of my other creatures can get through unopposed, which is just super fantastic. Also, if my opponent has something like a utility creature, or they have a 2/1/1s or something like that, I can make both of the creatures block my Merrileaf Rider if I have enough foods around. So I think Merrileaf Rider is actually quite good. Trail of Crumbs should be good if you have enough food payoffs, and with 2 Gingerbread Cabins, a Curious Pair, and a couple of other, like Bacon to a Pie, I think I might be able to get there. It also creates a food by itself, and that's just a lot of value, especially because I am going to have a Garruk in my deck, so Trail of Crumbs is going to be able to dig me to that. So I think Trail of Crumbs is definitely going to be a great payoff for my deck. Also, Giant Opportunity is going to be a great payoff. You can make either 3 foods to go with my Bognaughty, or I can just sacrifice a couple foods that I've made early for my Curious Pairs and make a massive 7/7, so that's going to be fantastic as well. Sporecap Spider, I think, is actually a card I want. I don't really have a ton of early game defense. Whoa, I have 3 copies of this card. Jeez. I don't really have a ton of defense against flyers, and this card can really just help with that and help me stall the game until I draw my Garruk. Outmuscle, fantastic green removal. Look how deep my green pile is. Oh my gosh, I just have so many good green cards. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I have 5 good green cards. But it feels like more than that because of these 2 lands, which are kind of like spells. But yeah, Outmuscle is a fantastic green card. It's basically Hunt the Weak with upside, and also the artwork is fantastic. Look at this. The bear is like doing a somersault onto the guy's head. Actually, that's not very funny. Maybe we imagine it as the guy is trying to do a backflip, and the bear is trying to do a front flip, and they just happen to be in the same spot. Oh no, they're having a strength comp. I don't really know what the artwork is of, but it's fantastic. I love this artwork. But yeah, this card is quite good. I actually think it's the best green common. I think it's really close between this and the 4/4 for 2 green 4/4 that comes with a food and has trample. It's like Witch's Hater or something like that. But I think Outmuscle is just fantastic. Garenbrig Paladin is a great incentive to be heavy green, along with Gingerbread Cabin. Both of those cards make me want to be heavy green, because this card, when it's a 5/5, is really difficult for your opponent to deal with. Definitely a very good card in sealed. Wolf's Quarry is interesting. I have a decent amount of food payoffs, and I think I kind of want to try this card out at least. But I also just love the artwork. I love the flavor on this card. But I think with Trail of Crumbs, with Bog Naughty, it's going to be a fine card in my deck. The guy is super... They're wrestling. Oh. Nice. Okay. Moving on to our uncommons and our gold cards, essentially. We have Dance of the Manse, which I don't think is going to be playable. Drown in the Loch, which would be a fine splash card if we were like a splashing blue or something, but it's mostly a late game removal spell, and you kind of have to build around it. It's more of a constructed card, really. I don't think it's that good. If we had that type of card, if we were going to play that, we would probably play Eye Collectors just to try and enable it more, but I don't think we really care about that. Improbable Alliance is another good draw 2 payoff, so if we were going to play a draw 2 deck, we would have Mad Ratter, we would have the 2 Fairy Vandals, and we would have the Improbable Alliance. So just making free 1/1s when you draw cards is just great, but I don't think we're going that direction. We now have Savvy Hunter, which is another food payoff. Just drawing cards is fantastic. And we have Garrick Cursed Huntsman, which is our best card in our pool, and we're going to be playing it 100%. It's just so good. Just unbelievable card. You just use the 0, and you just start making 2/2s a turn. It's really hard to beat that. And now let's look at our other cards. Golden Egg, I think, is actually going to be playable as just a 2-mana food that cantrips in our deck and then can help fix our mana, because we are going to be playing a lot of green sources to help turn on Gingerbread Cabin and cast our Garenbrig Paladins, and this can also, not only can it fix us for our black mana, but it can also help us turn on our Garenbrig Paladins. Gingerbrood I don't think is going to be very good. The fact is, it's just a 1-mana 1/1 is just really takes a high bar because of how bad of a top deck it is late. Even though this is a food, I still don't think it's going to be a card I want to play, and also it's really kind of hard to get evasion for this, so we're going to put the Golden Egg in. Signpost Scarecrow, probably going to be playable in our deck, again, for the color requirements. At this point, we're just not playing blue. We're just going to be playing black-green. We have seen enough payoffs for black-green and not enough for playing blue deck. So, yeah, we're not going to play Witch's Cottage either, because we're going to be playing, try to play this type of split here, because we want to be playing 10 to try and enable our Gingerbread Cabin. Noteworthily, Gingerbread Cabin, if I play one on turn 1, it can still help enable the other ones because it is still a forest. And then this is our last couple cards. I think we are going to play the Signpost Scarecrow again because it is a way to help fix our colors a little bit, and also just 4-mana 2/4 Vigilance can be a decent blocker and body. And then, do we want to play Roving Keeps at all? Definitely an interesting consideration. We're not going to be playing Lochthwain Paladin in this deck. I think we probably can afford to play 1 or 2 of them. Let's just add 2 for now, and then see what our curve looks like. So, we are currently at... We have a lot of 2-drops. We have 7 2-drops, 3 4-drops, and then too many expensive cards. Let's just play 1 Roving Keep for now, as just a late game win condition, and then let's just look at just our black and green cards. We're not going to play this Witch's Cottage. Spin Sword Master we don't really need. We already have a decent number of early plays. How many 2-drops do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot of 2-drops. So maybe we play Fell the Pheasant as just potentially getting value. It's really hard to justify that, but maybe we just play Garenbrig Squire. We don't really have any a ton of adventure cards. We have like 1. We have the Curious Pair. I think Lash of Thorns is quite bad, Ghost of Crows. The problem is I'm only pretty much ever using this to trade instead of being used for something else. I think I'm really weak against flyers, and even though Fell the Pheasant is sometimes going to be a blank, it's sometimes going to do a lot of work. So I think I'll play that, and then I need a couple more cards here. What does Flaxen do again? It's a 7 mana for 3 2/2s, which honestly is probably just worse than playing a Roving Keep. And then the 1/2 can, like, if it does damage, do some stuff, but I think that's never really going to happen, because on turn 8, who still doesn't have a blocker for a 1/2? I guess early in the game maybe they don't, but Yeah, I guess we'll just play a couple Garenbrig Squires, and then maybe we just play Gingerbrute as a way. I guess when we have how many ways do we have to use the food that it makes? We have Merrileaf Rider, which isn't really the best use. Trail of Crumbs, Savvy Hunter, Bog Naughty. It's really not great. Looking great there. I don't think this card's good. I don't think we want to play any of these. We don't want Swordmaster. I think it's really between Roving Keep and one Gingerbrute, just because Gingerbrute's a food. Yeah, I really don't want to play Gingerbrute if I can avoid it. Maybe we just play an extra forest. Noble is good with my tokens. Which tokens? The Wolf's Quarry? No, which one's Noble? Okay. I think I might just add... Oh, the Malevolent Noble, yeah, it is. I think I'm just going to add an extra forest. Because that'll make it so I don't have to play Gingerbread Cabin as early, and I think that's just going to be better for my deck than a Gingerbread Man. Yeah, that is going to do it. Let's add our favorite card sleeve, of course, and make Garruk our face card for the deck. But yeah, that is how we are going to build our sealed pool here. Pretty fun one overall, and let me know if you have any questions about it. I would happily answer them in the comments section, and I'll see you for the matches. Hello, and welcome to our first round. We are playing against Deathsea, who I actually played against in my last early access event, so yeah, kind of funny. I beat him last time, so I'm 1-0 against him. Let's roll. I'm ready. How long did it take to make? It took a while. I went through all the cards. We're going to definitely keep this hand. We have a forest to get our turn 1 Curious Pair, and then we can play Merrileaf Rider or something, or just play the Curious Pair. Okie doke. We'll make a food token. I think our deck is very good, Ghost of Crows. I'm optimistic. I hope we get to cast Garruk, because that would be awesome. I think Wolf's Quarry is actually going to be good in our deck, because we have so many ways to use food. We're just going to play our heavy hitter here. Sure, we're fine with that. On turn 3, we only have 1 food, so we can't really use this as effectively. Well, that's a stupid rare. That is a very stupid rare. Oh, gosh. I'm not even going to play this because he's pretty likely to draw another card. Though he is a red-green deck. I don't have anything to do next turn, and this can't attack me at all. I'm also just trying to confuse him. Because maybe he'll have no idea what's going on. This seems like a draw 2 to me. Like he just has the draw 2. I don't care if he uses it on this, though. We're just going to perplex him. Because it can't attack into this anyway. And this thing has a 5/5 is pretty nice. Oh, you are so naive. Oh, that's hilarious. We're trying to save this to make several, like make a 7/7. We're not actually going to block this guy because we're going to be using our out muscle to kill it next turn. Unless, of course, they hold up 5 red mana to use the 5 mana deal 5. Seems like they might have outmuscle of their own. Nope, they have 5 mana deal 5. Well, that's not the best. Sick rips off the top, though. I hope he doesn't have another one of these. I just need one more food. So if I draw the cottage, I can make a 7/7. I can actually go Trail of Crumbs into Giant Opportunity. I'm really scared of this card. Oh dear. I feel like he should go face. Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. Oh my gosh, never mind. I just saw my ultimate combo. Okay. So, I can go Trail of Crumbs into Giant Opportunity. I just realized this. I forgot this made a food. I have a lot of options here. I kind of wish I had drawn a land. I think I have to kill the Merchant of the Veil. Or the... I would just have to maybe kill the Pyromancer. And then I can... This thing can hold down this... Yeah, it's really a hard sell though. I'm really scared. I really next turn want to just go Trail of Crumbs into Giant Opportunity, or just bake this into a pie. I have to block here now. If I can just untap and go Trail into Giant Opportunity, I'm going to be in such good shape. Oh no, but I have to pay 1. So maybe I don't do that. Maybe I wait on that still. Just getting rid of the Garen break would be so big for me. I just need to bake it into a pie. And I can start sacrificing foods to gain life too. Oh yes, this is so good for me. If he's just using Merchant. Please just be using Merchant. Please. Oh yeah. Hey, he's playing Wolf's Quarry too. Nice. That's terrifying. Well then. I think I'm just going to have to bake into a pie this thing. But I'll do it at instant speed. Because maybe he'll play something bigger that he'll give haste to. I don't think Drawbridge is very good. I think it's actually quite poor. But maybe it's a little bit better in Sealed. But bake into a pie means the next turn I can go Piper plus Giant Opportunity. Okay. Let's just kill the merchant, because that makes this card much more useless. And we're going to have another 7/7 to help. I kind of want to just play giant. Actually, let's just get a little bit of Trail of Crumbs value. Thank you so much, Choco and Cheese, for the subscription. I really appreciate it. We'll take the land, actually. We're not going to attack yet. We'll attack next turn once we can get our Wolf's Quarry into play. Actually, we might just play Piper and just hold up food activations because we're pretty stable here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Choco and Cheese. I'm just afraid of him going like Pyromancer, draw a card, and like killing me or something. So yeah, I'm actually in a kind of rough spot here. Not rough, but like I need to be careful. Because now I'll just sacrifice this to draw a card and gain a life and stuff. I need to keep in fact this thing can tap things. Okay. Sure. So I'm going to play my land. This thing can't be chump blocked. This thing can tap down this. So I can deal with this thing all day with my little guys. So he has only one card in hand. I think I'm just going to take this opportunity to deploy this. No attacks, because if I do, he'll just tap one of these guys down. And then I lose. He's probably just going to play this turn. And then we'll pay this one. We'll just take the land, I think. Play Savvy Hunter. Play Piper the Swarm. Yes, this thing's going to hit me next turn anyway. Like, he can't even tap down anything relevant here. Oh, this costs 6. I don't know why I didn't play this. Like attacking him for 13 here is risky, but I can't block this anyway. Except with this. So, like, he has to draw a card draw spell off the top to kill me. Which, we'll just hope he whiffs. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Like, if he gets it, he gets it. I really hope he can't get there. Him doing the math makes me feel like I'm not dead. But maybe I am. Yes! Whoo! We got the win against Deathsea. Thank goodness. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Life is good. It's not a pre-event, early access event unless you're beating Deathsea. That's what I always say. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that and stay with me for the next round. Welcome to round 2. Thank you so much, Eldraine Feats, for the compliment. I appreciate it. We're keeping this hand. We are a heavy green deck. We've got our giant opportunity. We're just going to use it to make food this time around, though, because we don't have any early food makers. That was super close match, Moose Mafia. Thank you. I think his decision to hold up the spinning wheel was a bit of a mistake, because holding up the spinning wheel meant that, like, it was very obvious what he was doing. Like, he was going to go for the double tap, and by just sacrificing my food, he maybe forgot that I could sacrifice food to gain life or something. Because holding up for the double tap instead of just playing your 6/5 is sketchy. We're going to block this because it's got lifelink and ours doesn't. So, good to trade off those things. That was an insane match. It was one of those ones that I just really wanted to win. We're going to change our Elemental Cat to green. This is sealed Epic Gordo, but never fear, if you did miss the drafting portion, you will be able to find it. I mean, the sealed building portion. I went into super depth, so you'll be able to find it. Other forests. Okay, so I'm not going to risk that one. Let's just play our thing and then get this food production rolling. What is this? The rare land, it draws them cards. I think getting 3 foods there is better than just holding this forever. I don't know. I have a decent number of food payoffs, so making food isn't the end of the world. And I only have 1 here. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to wait. It's early enough in the format that I kind of want to try playing it on both modes and seeing what happens. I don't think we're going to sacrifice any of these foods. We're just going to wait. We'll just take a hit for 3. Our 3 little pigs shut this guy down quite nicely. And our Garenbrig Paladins are going to be great because of all these green lands. Man, this is good. In sealed, going up to 18 lands isn't always the end of the world either, just because you really want to make sure you have all of the stuff you need. Okay, so we're going to play our... We're just going to keep playing forests, keep our opponent guessing on what we're playing. They might think we're mono green and sealed, which would be really funny, but we're not doing that. Okay, then we'll just play our Wolves Quarry, which shuts these menace guys down. Helps stabilize our life total. And we can even out-muscle onto one of these things if they end up killing our Garenbrig somehow. You know what a fantastic draw would be? Garruk. Garruk, make 2 wolves. Ah, yes. Garruk. Maybe I got greedy not sacrificing a food, considering I have 3 more foods coming. Like, I could have just gained 6 life and been nowhere near danger. Nice. I think this card is a pretty good one. Okay, so this is where, like, Mana Relief Rider would make my blocking super hard if he had, like, 3 foods, say. As it is, it's not looking so good for the old Mana Relief here, considering I have... I mean, my opponent could just make a couple foods and just wreck me. But next turn I'm going to probably out-muscle plus sack of food, I would have to guess. Or Garenbrig. Probably Garenbrig sack of food if they don't play anything worth killing. Man. I'm so happy with the way my new overlay and setup is all calibrated. I've got everything all hooked up the way I want it. Opponent's just like, how do I beat the 3 little pigs? The 3 little pigs seem way better than they did on paper. Like, I thought this card was not going to be very good, but making 3 foods is no joke. Like, I can already tell that. Oh, gosh. That's messed up, bro. Messed up. Gosh darn it. So we're getting rid of Swamp. Okay. We got max punished for our greed not playing this Swamp. I totally forgot this card was a thing. We're going to get rid of Outmuscle. And now we're going to go on the beatdown with our 5/5. That was dumb. We should have played our Swamp. Now we can't play Garrick if we draw him. Whoops. You live and you learn. Disguising information turns out to wreck me. Luckily, you cannot block your Foulmire onto my Garenbrig. So that's good. Let's just trade it off for 2 of their guys. Our next Garenbrig can really get the hammering down. Booyah. Man. Playing my Swamp would have been so much better. My opponent looks like they're a heavy black deck because they have the Witch's Cottage, the Castle, and like 2 of these guys, and they have like a ton of adamant black cards. I think my opponent thought Foulmire could block my Paladin. That's what I think happened there. They're reading Garenbrig Paladin. Understandable. No! Wait. Auto Tapper wrecked them. Why? Oh my gosh, that is an ouch. Auto Tapper completely owned them. I don't know. Getting this guy actually is kind of like getting a swamp. Oh my gosh, this costs 7, so I can cast it now. I'm going to sack a food to gain 3 life here. Okay, they're being very careful with their auto-tapping now, which I respect. They probably have their own Garenbrig, yeah. Just going to gain a wee 3 life here. We'll trade Garenbrigs. It's better for us to do it on our terms than on their terms. And then we can start sacrificing the 3 little pigs. They work really well with the Noble. We're still bouncing back from not playing our Swamp. They're choosing Boar. Don't they have to name the creature type? I guess they don't. They're going to name Boar, probably. Yep. Because I thought they might name Nobles. Because if I sacrifice a pig and they name Noble, then they... This isn't a Noble. No, because then they get to attack me with these things. I think this is a okay block for me. I don't want to take 5, and they are kind of in a conundrum on which one to kill. Sure. So they kill my 2-drop with their beefed up Menace dude. I like how it's a picture of like a pie. Well, Fell the Pheasant is going to be sick against Reaper of Night. This does have Vigilance. I don't think we want to... If they do double block, though, we get to kill their 3-2, which is really kind of a problem. And our 5-7 shuts down their guy. Oh my gosh. This Fell the Pheasant against my black-green opponent because this thing is going to flip. Oh my gosh, this is going to be fantastic. I just need to draw a land. Heck yes, it's a swamp. Let's just play the Roving Keep this turn. This thing will hit us. This thing will hit us, so we'll go to 7. But then we have all this life gain plus a Fell the Pheasant. And that means that when they play turn 2 and build Tree Folk, we don't get wrecked by them like just choosing not to attack with this for some weird reason. Also, it means if we draw future creatures, they're going to be much better. I really want to draw Trail of Breadcrumbs right now. I will note that my error in not taking the swamp meant that I couldn't hold up double sacrifice on these things. Okay. Okay, so we're in good shape here. They do have this thing, which is annoying, but they don't have another swamp for it right now. And we have a lot of good cards to draw, like our Garruk, and our Garruk. And this thing's a big beater. And we have this thing under control, and we have 5 food tokens. So I think we are very even here in this game. Oh my gosh. What a disgusting rip off the top. Well, that was nice. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Well, we don't have a second black mana yet, but... Yeesh. We're just going to sacrifice these 2, and then we'll hold the other foods to use with our Bognaughties. We don't want to alert our opponent that something's up. So we're not going to play the Curious Pair right now. Because if we play the first half but not the second half, they'll know. Oh no, we messed up. This thing won't have flying now. Well, rats. Opponent probably thinks I'm like a super tight player for like keeping their Reaper of Night back. But I actually kind of want it to attack me. I'm so lucky they can't activate this, even though they're at a really low life total, so it would kind of hurt them. I mean, it would only hurt them a little. It would definitely be better for them if they could activate it. Okay, there's a swamp. So we can get our Bognaughty into play. And we can actually double activate Bognaughty to take down something big. They can activate this now. They might just think I'm holding up a food activation. Fell the Pheasant is about to earn its keep. They're like, why didn't he play Curious Pair? But like, for example, Merrileaf Rider on this board, if he had the food token production I had, he would have just won because he could have attacked me and made everything have to block this guy. Clever, clever. I can just hit my opponent with Bog Naughty. My opponent is getting relatively low on life. They didn't even activate this. The thing with food is it's very flexible. Wow, my opponent got wrecked in the swamp department. That is brutal. And opponent scoops it up. Crazy game. I don't know if making the 3 foods with the giant was right, but our deck has tons of food payoffs, and that was a pretty good one, and I hope you stay with me for the next round. The third round, we are playing up against Amazonian this time around. Our hand doesn't have green mana, which is a problem, but we have to keep it, I think. Thanks to this golden egg. Eye Collector. Okay, okay. Swamp is not a helpful deck. We only have 7 swamps in our deck, and drawing all of them makes this significantly worse. If I mill a forest, I'm going to cry. Okay, thank goodness. Thank you, deck. You knew I needed forest. I appreciate it. Food! Oh yeah, all the forests. Let the forests flow. If you're wondering what the poll was about on the Twitch chat, folks, it's I was deciding whether or not to play all the rounds with my deck or just 3 rounds so I could make more videos with featuring the builds and stuff. Giant opportunity. Wow, the beatdown hath commenced. It hath commenced. New referendum after each game. That's really funny. No, my Savvy Hunter. That's evil. That's wrong. I was going to use it to outmuscle. We're going to bake into a pie the animating fairy, I think. But we're going to wait till they hit us, because we're not really concerned about our life total, and we'd rather kill something scarier if we can. They could have a counterspell. They could have Runaway Together. Actually, they can't have they could have Runaway Together for our golden egg. We also don't care about our life total because we have 6 life sitting here. That thing has milled a spell every single time. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. With a couple foods, this guy becomes quite scary. The Piper is here. Oh gosh. Oh no. Oh no, indeed. Well, we can kill this, but only if they don't attack with it. And we can jump out infinitely with rats. Unless they start sacrificing islands. Which they will probably do. Well, Lockmere Serpent's a beating. It was all going so well. We just need Garrick. Okay, that's not Garrick. We're good. We're going to rip Garrick right off the top. They do not control an artifact or enchantment. Gonna gain 3 life. I'm not liking my chances. They have the tools to just get this back. But they are sacrificing land, so if I can find a kill spell. So we go to 1. Maybe we had to kill Eye Collector. Because now this thing can kill us. Huh. None of those are Garrick. Come on, Garrick. Trail. I don't think we have the tools to win this game. Good game. Stupid Lockmere Serpent ruining all of our fun. And yeah, that's going to do it. And we will scoop it up. Welcome to round 4. We are hitting all of the highlights here. We're keeping this hand. We have Curious into a couple good cards that work with it. Let's make those food tokens. Jousting Dummy. Well, in that case, we will just play this. It shuts down the dummy so effectively. Knight of the Keep, sure. Keep playing those forests. We're gonna play the Prerelease. I don't think this is a game where we're going to be using the Prerelease. Though there is some thought, if we do draw a food maker, we can make both of these have to block and then kill both, which is pretty nice value. So, something to keep in mind. If they play a flyer, for example, we could kill it, sack 2 things, make Prerelease Rider a huge threat. Which semi-forces them to attack with both here. Or at least with the Knight of the Keep, so I can trade it up. 3-1 for 3-2. Okay. Fell the Pheasant is going to do major work. The sad part is I really just want to use Prerelease Rider to wreck my opponent, but I can't. We're going to go no blocks. Because I would like to use it to force this thing to block it. But the problem is I really need to use my Fell the Pheasant. I can always use the Mare Leaf later. Unfortunately, drawing a swamp, not having all my green is not great here. Let's just go for the greed play. If they trade, we're fine. This thing can't block. So then we can just Fell the Pheasant this thing. The only combat trick I can think of right now is +2/+2. And then we'll get this thing back. The Mana Leak is also a YouTuber. That worked out. Oh my gosh, we are the best! What a rip. Oh man, that went about as well as it could have. Our opponent should have suspected something when we didn't sacrifice Mare Leaf to Malevolent Noble. When we had 2 mana up. We are miles ahead now. Ouch. Can I teach you my ways? Well, the key, Janophites, is to play a lot and record all of the games so that when you do rip the land when you need it, it's on recording. And also when you don't rip the land and you need it, it's on recording. So, also just having a positive attitude, believing in yourself. These are key factors. This is looking good. Ah, the spider. I think the only card that can beat me right now is the Mythic Giant. And I'm not going to play around that. I'm going to play around like them having the Ardent Veil Tactician or something. Or having something like, I guess Worthy Knight can't block the Garenbrig Paladins. Well, you know, Epic Gerard, we don't even need Garrick. Garrick doesn't want to show up. Who needs Garrick? And we got the win, and we're headed to round 5. I hope you stay with me and are enjoying the video so far. Hello, and welcome to round 5, and Garrick has made his first appearance. He's entered the building in a pretty solid hand, I must say. 2 forests, 1 swamp is probably the ideal starting mana for us. We have a Savvy Hunter to start our food going. And I'm really optimistic for the way this is going to turn out. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. Ooh, you have a Malevolent Noble, too! Well, welcome. That was a great draw, because we need second Swamp to play this Bake into a Pie on curve, which we probably want to do, because then Savvy Hunter can draw us a card if it is able to attack. Oh, we're all over this block. Let's go. Another forest was actually the perfect draw as well. Oh, poor opponent. That's actually really annoying, but... we're just going to play this instead of holding up Bake into a Pie. I kind of wanted my opponent to play like a creature to try and block this, and then I would kill it with Bake into a Pie, attack, make another food, sack both, draw a card, get my 6th land to play Garrick. If only I had a Garenbrig Paladin. Opponent is not casting spells. They probably have a bacon to pie of their own. Sure thing, buddy. You got me. All we need is land. Yes! Oh my gosh! We are the masters of ripping land right off the top when we need them.
This curse, this drumming, I need them gone. Gone! We were born for the hunt.
Jeez, this is so epic. The voice lines and everything. We were born for the hunt. I need this curse gone. Oh my gosh, opponent. I respect you for not conceding.
We were born for the hunt.
Honestly, I don't even think I'm going to play this roving keep. I'm just going to hold a bacon to a pie because if my opponent has a board board sweeper, that's the only way they win. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We're going to make some scarecrow pie, folks. I respect the heck out of my opponent for not conceding this game. Hooray! Good job, Garrick. You've earned your keep. Well, that is going to do it for that round, and I hope you stay with me for the next one. Hello, and welcome. This is probably a keep, but it's a sketchy one. We don't have all of our green mana, which makes our deck significantly worse. Like, if these were 4 forests, I would be much happier. Golden Egg helps a little bit. If I draw a forest here, I'll be very happy. Thank you, deck. Because this gets me closer to casting Garenbrig on turn 5 and stuff like that. Just don't Reeve Soul me, bro. I think I've got to go for this. It's just such a high upside play if this works. Like, they could have a Reeve Soul, and then I don't get to draw a card by sacking the egg. But I'm not even sure I want to sack the egg. And that means I just don't have to play my Curious Pair. Like, I could have gone Curious Pair Reeve Soul, but I don't really want to Reeve Soul this. We'll make this guy green to reflect our urge to draw forests. Oh yeah, this is going to work out so nicely. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. Garrick plus Wicked Wolf. I kind of forget which one Wicked Wolf is. I know it's the 4 mana 3/3 with some ability. We're going to just do that in case they have the +2/+1 Death Touch card. And then we are going to play Swamp. And Malevolent Noble. We're just going to use our mana the most efficiently we can. Ideally, we would get away with not sacking this egg. Like, we want to not sack the egg to the hunter. We will if we have to, but we'd rather sack the Curious Pair food token to it. And the reason for that is because if we draw Garenbrig Paladin, we want to be able to use this for mana. Opponent rocking the mono black over there. It is a lifestyle. Scarecrow also helps with mana for Garenbrig. Okay, Wintermoor Commander. Again, I do want to reiterate, thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for letting me be in this event. It's really nice of them, and I really do appreciate it. Okay. So now they can double block this. We're going to create a food. they double block, we're fine with that. Oh, the single block, right, because that has Death Touch. Right. We'll just draw the second card. Sure. And then the pigs plus the Malevolent Noble is quite a nice combo as well. Oh my gosh, Doom Foretold is such a bad card. This card is so bad. I only know it's bad because I talked with people about it a lot, or I read other people talking about it on a Discord server. But basically, it's like a 4-mana Diabolic Edict that like then just gets... Okay. We have to play this. It does mess with our play pattern here, though, because we have to play Curious Pair because it's a non-token creature. I guess it's not even that bad for us if they do kill it, but I don't want them to just get a bunch of free value. No! Oh, totally wrecked. I really wanted those. Those pigs. Man. And my opponent's going to have to sacrifice their guy. They really wanted to keep their Doom Foretold around, eh? They have to keep drawing permanents to feed their own Doom Foretold. I guess we do too. No! They're playing a 6-mana 5/5 into the Doom Foretold. They put both on the bottom, I think. Farewell, Scarecrow. No! What a sad tale of events. The Doom Foretold. Doing so much. I feel like you sacrifice Doom Foretold to yourself at this point, potentially. Unless you're like really scared of the Piper of the Swarm. Because, yeah, that makes sense to me. I'm happy about that, though. Because I can just chump that all day long with my rats. I'm not going to right now, but I can eventually. Because I could maybe take it with rats. I'll go to 10. I don't really care about my life total at this point. I can always just I can always just use the rats to buy myself some extra turns. This is actually a really good draw for shutting down the Knight of the Keep. I should have attacked with the rats because they are menace creatures. That would have been good. I'm going to be taking this thing. Yeah, that's what I like to see. Still cannot penetrate the Spore Cap Spider's defenses. Okay, we can do this on their turn, on their upkeep, so that it is untapped. So this costs 4 mana, so we can make some foods in the meantime. Just so we can start gaining some life. I should have attacked again. Gosh darn it. Silly old me. I should have my opponent at 5 right now. Okay. I can, like, sacrifice a food. Yep, opponent drew a lot of lands. I mean, we drew 10 lands, they drew 11 lands, but yeah. We didn't need the Garen Brig or anything to win. That is going to do it for that round. Piper really shined, and I hope you stay with me for the next one. Hello, and welcome to the 7th round. We have been crushing it, and this is a fantastic hand. 2 forest, 1 swamp is our ideal configuration here, because of our various uses for green mana, like our adamant cards. I really like our split. I think going up to 11 lands was a really important decision. I think we're going to start with Garen Brig, because we don't want to be sacrificing things, so this has more utility late. Potentially if we get a bunch of food, but we don't have any uses for it. Okie doke. I'm a little bit concerned about them just having 2 mana deal 3. I'm just going to do this. It feels like they have it. They could also just have a combat trick, but I feel like they have the 2 mana deal 3, and I don't want to run my Savvy Hunter into that, or my Piper. The Soul Read! Actually, mostly the MTG Arena Stops read, but I did study the set enough to know what that was. So we're going to play this guy now. Now, if we do draw any land, we can play both of these. Whereas before, if we had just played Giant Opportunity or something, we could have only played one. This is at worst a cantrip that creates an extra food. Oh gosh. So at least Searing Barrage is expensive, which is Vengeance is kind of annoying. I think we want to kill their... So this is a Elf Druid. So I think we want to kill their mana. For some reason I thought I had an extra land to mess around with, but I think killing their mana is still correct there. So here I predict they're going to use something to kill this, which is Vengeance, naming Human. So that's some pretty clean value right there. But they don't get really a ton of value out of these other cards. Wow, that was fantastic. Oh my gosh. What a draw. This Gingerbread Cabin is so good in our deck, because we're running so many forests. We actually want swamps, so we'll change our cat to be black. No! That's messed up, bro. You have Garrick too. Oh my gosh. Ouch. Well, Garrick got us, but we'll be back with the next round. Hello, and welcome to round 8. I do not think this hand is keepable. Garen Brig's not great with only 3 swamps. We only have 1 card that we can cast here. Most of our cards are green, and we have a Garrick in our deck that we could potentially draw. We'll keep this hand, though. It is much better. And we're going to get rid of Bog Naughty, because it does take double black. but the Spore Cap Spider should help us out. We are going to hope to just draw another forest before turn 3. It is a gamble, but I think it's worth it because a food is worth so much in our deck. I'm not even sure if we trade these off. It's probably not worth it. Oh, it's definitely not worth it now. Spore Cap Spider MVP. No big deal. Casual crushing. Casually wrecking it. Outmuscle will actually be giving my creature indestructible if they do play like the Death Touch guy. But we can't kill... I guess we can kill the Death Touch if we use the Noble. We're going to kill the Jousting Dummy because then the Knight is by itself. And then Jousting Dummy can also pump itself. No attacks. They can't attack us with any more. I'm done being bullied by you, Venerable Knight. Oh my gosh, this card is such a beating. Oh my gosh. We're just going to have to try and draw a Garruk or a kill spell here. We certainly can't block, erase that thing. They can give it indestructible and lifelink. Savvy Hunter does not seem like it's going to stick around here. Oh, goodness. Well, that's bad. Seven in your time zone. In my time zone, it's almost 6. Come on, Garruk! Reef Soul does nothing. One really cute trick we're about to pull off here is the classic block sack technique, so they don't gain life from this. What are you made of, opponent? Okay. So we still want to draw Garruk. This thing's just going to start pumping out 2/2s. That's so dumb. Oh my gosh. Oh man. We're attacking because we can't block this anyway. And we're hoping that they make a knight and just chump or something. Or that they just make a knight so that we can Reef Soul it. Well, that's good. Oh, this is unfortunate. This Resolute Rider is a huge problem. What did we outmuscle? We outmuscle the jousting dummy. So that we would not have to... Yeah, it was going to be okay. It seemed okay at the time. I could see in retrospect it being better to save outmuscle, but... Now we don't have to attack. Because this thing can be bigger than Malevolent. Resolute Rider, I mean. We're not out of this yet. If we draw our Garruk, we're just right back in it. We need a way to compete with this thing, though. And Garruk is our way. Come on, Garruk. Come on. You know you want to come to the top of the deck. You know it in your heart. Oh, no. Well, actually, that's really good for us. They don't have a creature in their graveyard to go get? They do. This prevents them from gaining life. Also brings this one step closer to being big enough to kill that. Or block it. Do I want to sacrifice a food is the question. If my best out is Garruk, then I don't really... I think sacking a food... to make this a 7/7 is good. Because then it can block this all day long. Well, that's really good. This is awkward. Because this thing can sacrifice the Order of Midnight. They might not sacrifice anything here. They might sacrifice this. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. We're right back in it. Things are obviously a little bit rough. But we have a lot of decent draws now. They have to hold up 3 mana for this at all times. I like how we don't even have bacon a pie up, mana up. I just want to draw Garruk. Is that too much to ask? We've been playing so well, deck. Yes! That is what I'm talking about. Thank you, deck. You know I deserved it. You know I deserved it, deck. And you gave me the card that we wanted. This Garruk is back. Whoo! I'm feeling alive. Oh my goodness. Come on. You got this, Garruk. We are temporarily unable to use our food. Okay. 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 think we're just going to keep making wolves for a little bit. Because we're making 2 creatures a turn and what we draw, and we have this life gain. One thing we can do that's really cool is we can use Malevolent Noble to sacrifice a wolf. To use his -6 if we wanted. At some point. But I think we need more wolves to be safe. Just to be extra safe. Oh my gosh, this is such a good game. Oh my gosh, the writer is such a problem. So they're going to give it lifelink and death touch. Yes! Thank you for... Oh no, I messed up! I messed up. That was my chance. I could have just killed this guy. I'm bad. Gosh darn it. I was so happy, and then I blew it. I'm actually not that worried because I can just make the emblem at some point here. And I kind of want to sacrifice this gain life. Gosh darn it, I messed up. I'm going to gain 3 life. Uses my mana pretty effectively. Keeps me safe. We're just going to keep making 2/2s.
You're not scared of dogs, are you?
And then... make some more foods just so we can't possibly die. Now we have 4 food, which is like 12 life. We're going to sacrifice a wolf to get him up on loyalty at some point here. But currently, I am very happy with where we're at. He doesn't even activate this to make a 2/2. Interesting. Okay, so what does this do again? He can put creatures from his graveyard back into play. Sure. But if they activate Cauldron, then we can kill their guy with Garruk. It's actually interesting. I might be able to kill them here, depending on what they do. So let's think. If they pay 2 life, return a creature, so they would go to 19. They would return Order of Midnight, maybe. I think we want to sacrifice a wolf here. So with the emblem, let's say they get their highest toughness guy, which is 2 toughness blocker, which is 3 toughness. We're going to sacrifice a food to grow this guy. So let's say if we give everything +3/+3 and trample, then we have 9. We have 12 trample. We have 5, 14, plus 8. We have 22 plus 25, 28 plus 12. So we have 40 damage here. And they have 2, 6, 9 plus 3. So they have 9, 12. So they would take 28. Even if they give this lifelink, it's not enough.
We're coming for you.
This is trample, right? Yes. When you know you have lethal, be decisive. Because this is 20, 32, 40. And they have 9 toughness. So that's 31 damage. If they gain 6, that's still 25, then they're dead. If they make another 3-3, like if they make this guy, they're still dead. If they make a guy, they're still dead. Don't give them extra chances. Sure. Trample still works through Indestructible. If they give it Indestructible, they're all tapped out. Then one cool thing we could do is we could have sacrificed it to our Noble. Boom! We got the win. Looked grim, and then we ripped the Garruk off the top, and we are headed to the final round. Either we get 7 wins, or we get sent home. This is going to be exciting. Welcome to the finals, and we have got a keeper here. It's a sketchy keep, but it's one that I must keep, I think. We're going to change this to green because we want to draw green. Okay, so green does not make Fell the Pheasant better. Oh my gosh, Lovestruck Beast. That's not great. Not a great start for me. Green, black, A. Fell the Pheasant has done so much work, but it might be time for it to say goodbye. They just have to control the 1/1 creature. They don't even have to have the 1/1 creature like still around. Thank goodness. Merrileaf Rider can force the 1/1 to block, which makes this thing unable to attack me. So I need to find a way to make a food now. All I need is for them to play a flyer, please. Play something that I can kill so I can use this to take out your 1/1. I'll do it. I'm not proud. I'm not too proud to do it. Skewer of meat. Let's see what we shall see here. Sad day. That's the first one I haven't been able to trigger. I'm not even remotely close, so I think it's okay. At least I can get my Garenberg down as a 5/5, hopefully. Hello, food. It can still block. Oh man, if I ever get to use Fell the Pheasant, I'm gonna feel like I did it. I think it was worth it overall, though. Throughout the draft, it performed. I mean, the sealed, it performed. But now this thing can't attack, which is nice. And Bognaughty's coming down, which works well with the golden egg. We're double blocking because there's a common that gives +2/+2. And that one seems relatively more likely. There's also the Death Touch card, which really punishes us, but I think that card's worse. Oh, get wrecked. I got owned. Oh, they didn't sack the food. Okay. We're just going to be mana efficient here. Going to play both our guys. So what do they have as a use for this food? Garrick, I must say, it would be really nice of you to show up right about now. I need your guidance, Garrick. Will you be my hero? Oh. Okay, what's your last card? They value a food higher than... There's no real +1 damage thing. We're just going to block like this. Okay. Like, that's might seem bad, but then you realize that they spent their bacon to a pie on my thing, which is kind of like value for me. Oh, yeah. I'm going to get this guy down now. It's not mana efficient, but it is good because then if I do draw any land, I can just start making a 1/1 every turn. I love Lovestruck Beast. Such good flavor. Beauty and the Beast. What a classic. Oh no, this thing can attack. Oh, you have to control a 1/1 specifically. Well, my rats will counter that. I don't really want to block Sporecap Spider. I'll just take one. Okay. So I would like to draw a land this turn. Thank you, deck. Because now I can block this thing and just take 4. And then just start making my 1/1s. My 1/1 menaces. My opponent has 6 foods, so I hope they don't draw like a Savvy Hunter or something. Okay, sure. I am in English time zone, whatever time zone that is. Like London Central Time, England Central Time or something. Once I find a way to make, if I next turn I can just block Witch Stalker and then sacrifice a food so Bognaughty will kill it. And if my opponent ever does have a flyer, we know just what's going to happen. Okay, we're at 10. The rats are starting to amass. This thing has reach, not attacking. That would be a bad attack. I think I just take 4 here. And the next turn I can take it. Or actually I'll just take Lovestruck Beast. Piper of the Swarm is doing work here. I'm so afraid of my opponent having a Garruk somewhere in their deck. What knights do they have? They don't have any knights. We're just going to do this now. Okay. That's a draw. Because those things can be sacrificed to my noble, which can then be used with Bognaughty. So we're not quite there yet, but we're almost there. Next turn is going to be a good turn. We have several 1/1s, so the Lovestruck Beast can actually attack. Oh my gosh, that's such a fantastic draw. We're in this to win this. Yeah, it's basically six-ish. Oh my gosh, what a rip. We can sacrifice the food with Bognaughty. And then kill that thing. Pay 1. Take Gingerbread Cabin. Play Gingerbread Cabin. Make another food. So now I can activate Bognaughty again. We're about to win this game. Like, we're eking out the value that we need to win. Opponent has so much life over there with these food tokens. We have to put a clock on them. X number of cards in your graveyard. They have 6 cards in their graveyard. We're actually going to fell the pheasant, our own Bognaughty. No, we're going to protect against them having a Bognaughty. We're going to get another food. And grow our guy. I really want to win this thing. We're looking for Garrick. We're just going to do it again. Whiff, okay. 2 removal spells too, we kind of wanted those. But all that matters is Garrick. This just is a permanent, right? Yeah, so we know like the bottom bunch of cards. Sacrifice this one, and then sacrifice the... Oh, this is so much value. Trail of Crumbs is just a house. That was a good rip as well. There's a Savvy Hunter. We're just going to hit him for 9. Start working through their food supplies, maybe. We're going to hold this up, and then we're going to hold up a Malevolent Noble Sacrifice on something. Plus our Fell the Pheasant, in case they play a Bog Naughty. Yep. Man, I really want to win this game to get the 7 wins. Our Garrick is somewhere in these cards. Options, gameplay. They gained a lot of life that turn. I was trying to figure out how to like not stack them in a random order. Sure. Sure, I'll just block it. Actually, I kind of want to sacrifice this. Next turn it won't matter. I'm just going to sack this one for life. Because this guy's already big enough to tangle with a Clackbridge troll. Hello, Garrick. Nice to see you, my good sir. You're a fine fellow.
Foxes. I hunt bigger game.
Not gonna lie, it just sounded like he said the F word. I hope I'm the only one that heard that, but it sounded like he said, F this, I hunt bigger game. I really hope that's not what he said. Kids play this game, folks. Okay, and then send in with the big guy. I still have this 5/5 that's bigger than anything he has. I have 3 0/1s for if I need them. What the heck? You heard the tears of the opponent. They have 7, 11 power, and I can sacrifice 2 things. So let's just kill this guy and kill this guy and leave him with a 4/2. You know, let's just kill... Yeah, leaving them with a 4/2 is good because then the wolves can attack into it. The first Billy Goat Gruff fed the Malevolent Noble. We have to keep this rat around because it lets our Lovestruck Beast attack. Maybe that was just really bad. I don't mind trading off when I have Garrick, though.
Stay on the trail.
I'm fine trading these off. Sure. I think we've got a solid hold on this game. We've had the Fell the Pheasant in our hand this entire time. We're going to just start attacking with the wolves. We'll suicide a wolf in a turn. Opponent is essentially at 38. We do know that we have our removal spells coming up. No! We've been holding it this whole time. Now that is sad. Let's send in the goons. What's our top card? Reeve Soul. Wow, this is brutal. They're going to be able to kill our Garrick.
You're not scared of dogs, are you?
So we're going to put out muscle on the bottom and draw bacon to a pie. Garrick is effectively dead. We may have choked this game, but I don't think so. The way we would have choked is by getting rid of our major guy. Oh my gosh, did I play a land? I could have stopped that from getting flying too. I'm so bad. Gosh, darn it. I know there's no thing to get, so I'm going to wait on my food. Let's just attack with everything. This has been an absurd game. I definitely choked that. I forgot that I could stop that thing from getting flying if I just held enough cards. Soon our roving keep is going to come around. Man, that equipment has done so much work. We should have held lands to play around this card. That's something you learn as you play more of the format. But there's no reason we should have gotten wrecked by that on turn 100. Should have just held some lands. Gosh darn it. Stay back, goat. He has a shoe. That's hilarious. We have 3 cards in deck. This has been an absurd game. Opponent's at 13 life. We're drawing a Reeve Soul next turn. They're out of food. At long last. Why is the rum always gone? Oh, 2, 3, 4. We're 1 point short. The goat is getting in there to make a statement. Good game. Oh my gosh, Trail of Crumbs was so good. That was unbelievable. What a game. How was my match? That was a fantastic match. Talk about following the trail of crumbs to victory, I'll say. Anyway, that is going to do it for this sealed video. If you did make it all the way to the end of this marathon, type in hashtag ClutchGarrick in the comment section down below, because he may not have shown up in the first 4 rounds, but he certainly showed up there at the end, coming in clutch right when we needed him. Hashtag ClutchGarrick in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, remember to hit that thumbs up button. If thank you for the follow. Who followed? Let's check. Hey, thank you so much, Praymond. I appreciate it. If you do hit that thumbs up button, if the video gets to 50 thumbs up, I will post another Throne of Eldraine video tomorrow. So if you want to support the channel and get more content at the same time, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel to join our community here on YouTube, and also click that notification bell if you don't want to miss any future videos. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to give back to the channel and get access to bonus content, you can do so via the Patreon, patreon.com/. Whoa, man, all the follows. I really appreciate your support, guys. Patreon.com/NicolaiBolas is the place to go to support the channel directly. You get access to bonus content. I am thinking about putting a full Pack 1 Pick 1 ranking guide up there because I have been ranking some of the cards to help myself out, and I think I'm going to put that up for my patrons over on Patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. If you would like to do that, you can do so to support the channel, and you get access to some pretty cool perks and bonus content along the way. Also, if you are going to be buying cards, maybe some new Throne of Eldraine, you can use the affiliate link that is in the description down below to support me. By using that link, you're giving back to our community, and it's the same cards at the same prices. And finally, if you would like to check out the stream, you can find it on twitch.tv/NicolaiBolas. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to the stream for free, so support the channel that way. But we are going to claim our prize, and then I will put up the credits for all of my patrons. Thank you so much to all of my patrons that support at the credits level. Thank you to my patrons that support at all other levels. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will talk to you guys next time.